Wow. Wow. You know, when I am introduced and they're reading all of that, I'm thinking, who wrote that and who is that person, right? And it's amazing to me, the list. And it's like, well, how did I even get there? What did it take for me to get there? And so I want you, just for a moment, on just the back of your packet or wherever, I want you to just write down one word after hearing that bio that was read. One word, and just write it down. It could be anything. It could be like, so. You know, it could be anything you want, right? So I want you to put that on there. All right, so I want to start hearing some of what you wrote down. So I just want, just call it out. What did you write down? Inspiring. Brilliant. What'd you say? Hardworking. Possibilities. Thoughtful. International influence. Accomplished. Leadership. Oh my gosh. So, I used to sit and I still do, but I would listen as they would read the bios of other people. And I would think, what does it take to get there? What is it? How do I get to do that? And the key was getting involved and making connections. I didn't know that at the time, but I was listening to John Lennon. He was on television. John Lennon was with the Beatles. And he said 97% of success is just showing up. Just showing up. And I was like, well, all right, I can go show up. But the places that I was showing up was like, they would have functions like this, but it would be kind of open and I would mingle. But I was going to go get food. My son was hungry. And I knew how to just come in there, work the room. Hey, how you doing? Throw a little shrimp over here, put one of those in my pocket, go home, and we would eat like crazy. I mean, we'd have a good time. He said, when are you going back? I said, I don't know. As soon as I hear about another function, I will go. But I kept going, and then after a while, because at first they didn't know me, I didn't know them, but I knew how to grip and grin. How you doing? How you doing? What's your name? And then after a while, I would show up and they would say, oh my gosh, it's Regina. And I'm thinking, yes, it is. Because I'm putting the stuff in my pocket. But it's interesting how this starts to play out. The other side of that is just trying to figure out, well, what do I want to do? What is my purpose? Why am I really here? And what do I want people to say about me? What do you want people to say about you? I know for me, I wanted people to say that I was inspirational, that I was brilliant, that I was smart, that I was important. I wanted people to say those things about me. And I realized later that no one was going to say that about me until I could say it about myself. What are people going to say about you? What are you going to leave? Because at the end of the day that you close your eyes for the very last time, all you have is your name. That's the only thing that's going to be left. And when people speak your name, what are they going to say? What are they going to say? I used to watch different movies. I'm dating myself. And if anybody remembers this, don't admit it because that means you as old as me. But there used to be a show. It was a movie, I think. It was called Harper Valley PTA. Don't even laugh. And when they would walk in with their high heels and their suit on, everybody would look, oh my goodness, here they come. You know, Mr. So-and-so, Miss So-and-so. And I'm thinking, that's what I want. I want people to just drop, just stop. Oh my goodness, it's Regina, it's Regina. But I still didn't know what all that meant. I didn't know what it meant. I had to find my purpose. I had to find what made up me. How many of you in this room know what your purpose is in life? Okay, so for all of you that are raising your hand, does your purpose serve other people? Okay. If your purpose is serving other people, how many of you are making money from that? I'm like, come on, y'all. Come on, raise them up. How many of you say, it's not about the money. I really don't care about the money. For those of you who said that, give me the money. So when you make the money, hook a sister up. I will take it gladly. Because right, it doesn't pay enough. But you have talents within that you can still, if your purpose in life is to be a caregiver, there are things that you could do by teaching other people the talent that you have that will make the money. Because I'm going to tell you right now, I'm my mother's caregiver. And if she came in here, you would say, oh, she doesn't need any care. But as soon as you turn your head, she's like, oh, I feel like Sanford and Son. Oh, that's my mother. And I don't know what to do. I don't have that talent. I don't have that skill. And I wish someone had taught me or wrote a book or did something to help me with that, right? So regardless if it's about making money or not, because you don't have to. I do it because I know one thing. When I make money, I can change lives. I can help other people. So it's not all about me. If I took all of the money I've ever made and kept it to myself, I would be much further and have more things than I do now. But I have something better than things. I've been able to change lives. I've been able to help other people. And in turn, I have something to wake up to every day. I have something that people will come up to. I had somebody come up to me just tonight and tell me, it's because of you, Dr. Lewis. You influenced my life. Do you realize that would last longer than a $100 bill? Do you know what I mean? It would last longer than getting me a new pair of earbuds, because I'm going to lose those anyway. You know what I mean? That's what you want. Now some people might say, it's not what I want. I don't want that. And so if that's not what you want, I want you to go make an extra plate and you can hang out there, because this would not be for you. This is for people who want to do something with their life and stand firm on it and know how to get there and clearly understand their purpose in life. Because guess what? We think we know what our purpose in life is, and sometimes it changes. Sometimes it changes, because I guarantee you probably didn't start out like, where's that there was a little girl that was sitting right here. Yeah, there she is. I'm sure by the time you started talking, you didn't say, I want to be a caregiver. It morphs itself into, and there's things that happen that makes this so. So I want to share more about my journey with you. Let me start with this. Let's see how loud we can get it.
An endless desire to learn, and PPCC, an educational superstar. After serving our country, Regina Lewis knew she needed a degree. She started at PPCC, earning her her associate's degree and just kept going. Bachelor's, master's, and PhD. Along the way, she realized success meant helping others reach their dreams too. And today, she's a professor and motivational speaker, and we call her Dr. Regina Lewis. Find more surprises at ppcc.edu/surprise.
So they started having this commercial up, and it was on the radio, and I was like, that just sounds like so nicely in this package. Like, wow, look at me. I had that all planned. No, I didn't. I didn't. They were able to just take a little bit of this and take a little bit of that and pull it together to say, this is who Dr. Lewis is. This is who she is. But it was a journey. Many of you have heard my story, a segment of my story. But let me tell you how I got to finding my purpose. Has anybody ever heard, or can you imagine what I wanted to be when I grew up? When I was younger than you, and people say, so what do you want to be when you grow up? What do you think I said? When I was, say, about 9 or 10, just take a guess. What do you think I said? A dancer. Oh, you're so close. What'd you say? The president. Y'all both so close. Keep going. Anybody else? Say that again. I tried it one time. It was like, no. Mm-mm. Harrison was not having that. No. Actress. Yeah, this is going to blow your mind. I wanted to be a nun. I really did. I wanted to be a nun. Girl, let me tell you something. Listen, Sister Act nun. I was the one. There was a guy by the name of Billy Graham. He would come on television and I would take notes. I didn't go outside and play dolls. I was taking notes. And when I did go and play, I would play church and be collecting the money. Make sure you bring your money with you. And that's what I would do. But I took it so seriously. And then they would have contests. Who could bring the most people to Vacation Bible School? And I used to take them down to Circle Drive Baptist Church on Circle. And I'd always win. That was my thing. And I would visit every kind of church. I said, I'm going to be a nun. Why a nun? I was born into Catholicism. I was Catholic. And so that's what I knew, right? But here's the interesting thing. Guess what happened when I turned about 16? Boys! I was like, oh, I can't have that and that? Oh, I'm over here. It was just, I had the answer. I was like, well, that's not going to happen. So then I'm in this little club. It was a teen club, and I'm dancing a little bit, and people were like, wow. And I was like, wow, what? I'm looking around like, what, And then I would go skating at Skate City, and they go, wow. And I was like, wait a minute, something's happening here. And then after a while, they were like, we're going to have a dance contest. Come on, bring it on. And I would cabbage patch and, do the snake and, And people were like, oh, my goodness, it's Regina, And I would just go absolutely crazy. So I thought, well, I'm going to be like Michael Jackson. I'm going to be a dancer. I want to get up on the stage and I want people to pass out. I want them to just go absolutely crazy. So here it was. That's what I was going to do. And I would go into every contest, and myself and my best friend Donnell, we would break dance and electric pop, and we'd do our thing. We thought we was bad, right? We'd go to Memorial Park and I could do the Michael Jackson, Billie Jean like that. So I thought, well, maybe that's it. And life just seemed to keep doing that. And then I joined the military. And I thought, what is my purpose? What is it that I'm really going to do with my life? I had to do some deep soul searching. deep in my soul. I had to find out what makes me tick. I had to find out what is it that I really love. What is it that I cared about? And most importantly, I had to find out what I didn't like. What don't I like? You know, there are some people that don't like people, which blew my mind because I love people, but that doesn't mean that everybody loves me, right? But you have to start thinking about what is that inside? What do people respond to? And then a key is how will I be able to turn my purpose, or first of all, my passion into purpose, and my purpose into prosperity, into something that I could sustain myself, I could sustain my family, far beyond. My son will be 30 years old this month, 30 years old. And this young man can go on and live his life, and that's what he's doing. So I had to figure out what was my life going to be after my child. He's going to go on with his life, and that's exactly what he's doing, you know? And the last thing I want to do is put me on him, like you're going to take care of me. Doesn't work that way. What'd you say? Wait, that's what? No, I've seen it happen in my family over and over and over again. You know, the child gets older and then the parent is pulling them back and now they got to stay home, take care of the parent. I said, no, I have to do something for me. So my goal here tonight is to talk about how to get involved, how to make connections, how to make a difference through your purpose. If you know what your purpose is, if you're already doing things, how can you do even more? How could you add on to that? Because we all need to. You come to these sessions, one, this is the one that you chose to come to. Two, because there's a requirement. How about coming to the sessions because it's getting ready to add to your purpose? Where you could take those copious notes like, oh, you know what, that might add, that might be something right here. Because you have amazing people, Dr. Mingo, Melinda Mingo speaking. You've got some really amazing people that are standing up here giving their knowledge, their experiences, and sharing them and imparting them on you so that you can decide what you want to do with them. Now, there's going to be, I'm going to say a third. There's going to be a third of you that's going to walk out of here and you are going to start right away doing something new. There's going to be a third of you that'll be like, what's for the dessert? We need to go home and I need to get ready to go to bed, but I need to stop and get me some dessert and then I'm going to go to bed. And then there's going to be a third of you that's going to be scratching your head like, I'm not really sure what to do with this stuff. But I want you to be able to decide, because no one's going to make you, but you want to be able to make a difference. If that's a requirement, do it well. And then after it's over with, if you want to walk away, fine. But if you don't, then you've made an impression. You've made a difference in people's lives. You can do that. I know that I have. But before I go on to this next slide, I want to say to you, don't let anyone tell you what you have to do, that you have to do it this way, that there's only one way, because that's not true. I've had more people to tell me, you need to focus and narrow and focus on one thing. I never have, because I have too much going on that I want to do. You pull me to the side, I'm going to address that or find somebody who can. You talk to me over here and we're going to have a conversation and go do this over here. I'm just going to combine it all because that's where I find fulfillment. Other people might say, I want to do one thing. But where do we even begin? So let's look at this video for a second.
Once upon a time, there was a young woman who worked for a merchant who lived on top of a hill. She worked as the merchant's caregiver, and every day she had to walk down the hill to collect water from the river. She had 2 pots to carry water, which she hung upon a pole so she could carry it over her shoulders. With time, one of her pots got a small crack along its side. She observed the crack on the pot and decided she could still use it. So every day the woman carried those 2 pots down the hill to the river, filled them to the brim, and walked back up the hill, balancing the pole across her shoulders. And by the time she reached the house, the cracked pot would be only half full, while the other pot would be still full to the top. And the cracked pot would glance at the other pot and saw that the water was still filled to the top, and it began to feel worthless. The full pot was proud of its accomplishment, while the cracked pot felt ashamed and miserable that it wasn't able to accomplish the same amount of water as the other pot did. So the years went by, and the cracked pot saw himself as a failure. And one day it spoke to the lady. It said, "Dear lady, I apologize for my flaws. The crack on my inside has made me useless. I still have the water, and I'm just not good." The lady felt sorry for the old cracked pot, and she said, "But pot, you don't understand. You haven't been paying attention. Look around you. As we return to the master's house, I want you to look at the path we traversed." So the next time when the lady carried the water up to the hill, the cracked pot carefully observed the path up the hill. And for the first time, the pot stopped looking inside himself and instead looked outside the world. And he saw on his side of the trail that beautiful flowers were growing and beautiful plants, while the other side was still dry. And as the woman reached the top of the hill, she asked, "Did you notice the beautiful flowers in the path? They are only on your side of the path. I have always known about your cracks, and I took advantage of it to water those beautiful flowers along the way. Without you being just the way you are, the path uphill would not have this beauty." And suddenly the cracked pot understood, and he was overjoyed. All its sadness was gone. He understood that the very thing that he thought to be his weakness turned out to be a blessing for the flowers and the plants along the path. You see, every one of us is unique, and we all have our own flaws. Nobody's perfect, but it is those little flaws that make us and the world around us so interesting. And you know, butterflies don't know the color of their wings, but the human eyes see how beautiful they are. And likewise, you don't know how good you are, but others can see that you are special. This is Dare to Do Motivation. Thanks for watching, and stay blessed.
We all have beauty. We all can make a difference in other people's lives. And sometimes we don't think that we can because we think that we're flawed. When I first came to Colorado Springs, I was put in a speech therapy class because I couldn't pronounce my S's, S. I wore braces in high school with the headband even. I was not asked to prom. I felt like I was broken. All of my cousins on my mother's side have hair down their back. All of my cousins, my sisters, and my brothers can sing, and my mother and my father, but I could not. They thought that they were going to start the first, or not the first, but the next Jackson 5 and the Supremes. And everybody would be down in the basement and they'd have everybody in sync. And my job was to sit up on the washing machine and clap my hands. And that was it. I didn't see any worth in me. I felt inadequate in many, many different ways. I wasn't a shy person, but I did get embarrassed very easily. And I hurt deeply inside. So I was a very, very, very sensitive person. You have to find what's inside of you by looking outside of you. What is happening around you when you are in the presence of other people? Do they smile? Do they wince? What is happening? Because that's going to give you a clue as to what do you keep doing and what do you need to change. I tell people this all the time once I finally realized. I used to have people, my bully lives down the street from here. She lives down the street. She became a police officer. I was like, perfect job, right? She's one of my dearest friends today because she finally figured it out. But as a matter of fact, me driving up here, it took me back because I used to have to run from Panorama Middle School and run to my house, and she would be right behind me all the time, running. And I would run doing this. God don't want us to fight. That was what I would say. That's what I would say. But these were the types of things that I had to deal with until I started seeing around me, and there were people that would be on her side, and they would say, oh, I don't like that girl, Regina, you know. They used to call me Rat. They call me Rat because my maiden name is Thompson, so my name is Regina Anita Thompson. And so they would call me Rat. And it was hard. It was tough. But I noticed something. The people that did like me were people that were around me, that got to know who I was. And they loved me. I mean, they just, oh, you're the coolest. And I was like, why is there such a difference? So I started saying this one thing. To not like me is not to know me. If you don't like me, it's because you don't know me. And that started to help me. What is your mantra? Or what is it that you need to change about you so that you can make that difference, so that you can have an impact? What stops you from going further than where you are? Who told you that this is it? This is you know, you're good. Do this job, sit here, do this thing, and that is it. While you're steadily taking your children and try to tell them to do this. Because what you're teaching your children to do is, I want you to keep doing this until you're grown enough for me not to tell you what to do anymore, and then you're supposed to stop. And then they teach their child the same thing. Why would we do that? Why would we do that? We need to set examples for the rest of our lives. The rest of our lives. When I was 12 years old, my birthday is July 6th. June 4th, my father retired from the United States Army. And my father said, I ain't gonna do nothing. It's my turn. I'm not gonna get up and run. I'm gonna hang out. I'm gonna do whatever. And he retired at 42. July 4th, 1977, a month later, my father had a massive heart attack and died. While we were partying in our driveway, having a barbecue. So all I had was my mother. My mother, she worked at Monterey Elementary. Her dream was to become a 5th grade teacher, and she started school in her 50s and became a 5th grade teacher in her 60s. I said, that's how you do it. Just keep going. And then she retired. And she says, I deserve to sit. I deserve this because I've worked all my life and my mother has dementia. And I'm taking care of her. So it's taught me that I don't stop. As a matter of fact, when you get to that point, then that's when you start all over again and do something else new. Another time to be something else. So the day that I retire, I'm not doing that. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going into rewirement. I'm going to rewire myself. I'm going to do something else. I'm going to do something that maybe my family or maybe the world has never seen before. It's time to go and do something else. And I'll be able to do that because I have the connections, I have the support, I've been involved, and people believe in me. If you don't do those things now, when it comes time for that, who are you going to call? Ghostbusters? I'm just saying. What are you going to do? You have to be able to know that people know your name. And most of all, you have to know what your purpose is. Because your purpose is going to drive you forward to that next best thing. So, if you open up your packet, if you look on page 1, I want you to take a moment. You're going to work on this worksheet. How many of you have ever heard the saying, you do it, or a person may be in your life for a reason, a season, or a lifetime? A reason, a season, or a lifetime. So I took those pieces so that we could work through this, so that you could start working towards your purpose. So the very first thing is if you look at your packet, it says, what do you care about? Now you say, well, I care about a lot of things. I care about what kind of, sweet drink I like. I care about what clothes I'm going to wear. I'm talking about bigger than that. What do you really care about in life? And I want you to start jotting those down. So I want you to work through this, because when you leave out of here today, you're going to have something. It's not going to be like you walk away like, wow, that was great. I don't remember nothing she said, but it was great. We're going to really do something. So write down, what do you care about? The next one, what is important enough to give of yourself over the next 6 months? Your time, your talent, or your treasures, meaning money. Any of that. What could you do? What is important enough for you to give of yourself over the next 6 months? Is it a cause? Is it a purpose? Is it a charity? Is it your child? I mean, just name it. What is it that you could do over the next 6 months? And when you think about this, it needs to be something that when you're discouraged, you still do it. When others seem to be ungrateful, you still do it. When you're not sure that you can do it, you do it anyway. What is that thing? And then what drives you or motivates you in life that stands for who you are as a person? What drives you? Caring about people, giving your last, making things that makes people's tummy really happy. I don't know, whatever. What is that? And then answer why. Because we're going to go back to this. So I want you to take a moment, make sure you're answering these questions, because I'm going to go to each one of you. So nobody can hide from it. I am a teacher, so I'm going to call on folks. No, I'm not going to call on you, but I want you to really think about that. after you've written it down, I want you to put a check mark. Which one of those 4 was the easiest to answer? Put a check mark. Which one was the easiest to answer? Then I want you to put a star by the one that you struggled with a little bit, like you really had to put some thought into it, or maybe you're still having a hard time answering it. So I'm going to have you share what you care about to someone next to you. And I'm going to tell you why I'm going to have you do that. When you say something out loud, it starts to materialize. The pieces just start to come together. If you want to be how many of you are a millionaire? Anybody a millionaire? Okay, all right. So, right. I know that's right. But if you are a millionaire, did you ever say, I'm going to be a millionaire? You say it. Yeah, I am. I will. But you have to say it first. So you can become a millionaire. Every single one of you in here can be a millionaire. That I can guarantee you. But here's the part why people aren't. After you say it, you have to do it. You got to do whatever it takes. You got to do and work hard to get there to be a millionaire. If you say, I want anything you want or want to be, you just have to say it first. Just say it and say it out loud. Say it with conviction and then start acting as if it's so. Moving into that direction. Talking to people. Taking those trainings. You do it, and it will be. But you have to decide that. This is the reason why I'm asking you to tell someone, what do you care about? Now, how many of you were not able to answer that question? Just be honest. How many was not able to answer what you care about? Okay, fair enough. So you say, I don't know what I care about. Here's what you do. For those of you who couldn't answer that, ask other people. Ask other people, how do you act around certain things? What do you like talking about? What lights you up? And believe them when they tell you. You have to believe them when they tell you. Now, I know some people I could probably say, you don't care about nothing. I mean, so don't ask me, right? But no, everybody has something that they care about. So here's the next question. Think about what you would do or could do right now to make a difference in someone's life. How many of you answered that question? How many of you struggled with that question? Okay, all right. So this is for a reason. Let me ask you something. If right now you didn't move that cord and I tripped, bam, I fell, how many of you would run over and try to help me? Right. That's making a difference in my life. Every single one of you could do something. We think too big, we think too far, and we think that it has to be something grandiose. It doesn't. You made a difference. You came up and you moved this cord. It was just that simple. So for those of you who did not write something there, I want you to ask yourself why. What are you struggling with? Because maybe that's the part that I missed in my presentation, that I'm not able or I haven't been able to illuminate it for you in a way for you to be able to accomplish it. Is there anyone so brave to be able to say, I'm struggling with that area and this is why? Can anybody be bold enough. Yes, please. Tell me about it for a second.
So I probably don't have to say, but I feel paralyzed by my family's financial commitments, and I have to juggle it all and accommodate it all and make it all work. So I'm the glue.
Yes, so she says, she? Okay. She says, I'm the glue. I'm constantly juggling everybody's life at that moment, right? But you make a difference in their life. You do. And there's something you can do every moment, and you do for them. Because I said anybody. So it could be your own child, your own parent, or your own, significant other. It could be anybody. So that's what I'm saying. It makes a difference. I have a friend who, her name is Kay Wise Whitehead. You need to Google her. Kay Wise Whitehead wrote a book called Letters to My Sons. And she was a busy mom doing just what you were doing, juggling. The only thing that she did do was write a letter to her son every day, and she would give it to them at bedtime. And her sons would read it and respond to it and leave it there for her the next morning. And she did this for them for over 10 years, each one of her boys. Today, she's taken those letters, put them in a book, and it's one of the best sellers in the United States. So now she's making a difference in other people's lives. So it doesn't have to be something or someone out there. Sometimes it's right here. So I want you to get in that mindset of right here with what I have, what I can do, what can I do right now? People used to give me things, gifts and stuff, and I couldn't give back, but I could make a mean sweet potato pie. You know what I'm saying? I'll whip it up and bam, here you go. And to me, that pie was worth more than anything they gave me. Any amount of money, anything. Because it was my last. It was my heart. It was the heat. It was the history. All put in there and given to them. So you do have that. Anybody else? Anybody else struggling like, you know what, I'm trying to figure that out, but I can't. Yes.
It's not that I'm struggling, but like something that I picked up on with her comment with a lot of my mommy friends is that I do think this is a season of life, like when our kids get to be a certain age, where we feel like our own wants and needs. Our kids are so busy with sports and activities and friends and school that our tank gets pretty empty, and we're really, it's like you said, the glue, and you kind of feel like you can't miss a day. And it can, I mean, if we're being honest, be unsatisfying and hurtful to us. And so I feel like that's something that has to be addressed for mothers in particular, because we deserve to have our needs met too, and and it does get lost. I just have a lot of mommy friends. I don't think that, I don't actually feel that way myself, but I also, I'm pretty good at setting boundaries. And I just told my kids, my kids ended up sucking us all into traveling hockey, and they love that life. And I was like, listen, when we get back from the last tournament, we're going to have 3 months where you're not allowed to do a thing on the weekend. We're going to do the things we used to do, like camping and fishing and boating, and because, I love watching you play hockey, but I'm not, and they were respectful of that. But I do think that some of us want more. We would love to do more than just be this amazing source in the family, and then some people don't even feel appreciated. Too.
Absolutely. I love that you said that, because here's what's real. We lose ourselves. Mm-hmm. We lose ourselves in the making, and by the time we find ourselves, we worn out. They're like, "Ooh, what happened to you?"
You don't even know what you like anymore.
Don't not none of it. Yes.
I wasn't satisfied being just a wife and mother.
Yeah.
I had to be a full-time student, a full-time employee, and full-time wife and mother, and juggle 13 people in my household
Yep.
to make me happy. I had to have multiple things going at the same time in order to
You know, so here it is. How many of you been on a plane? Okay. On a plane, airplane. When they get up there and they stand in the middle and they give you the instructions, what do they say about putting on a child's mask? What do they say? Put yours on first, then assist. Now, I love my son. Oh, listen. The sun rises and sets on that young man. So, of course, if we're suffocating, the first thing I want to do is grab his mask. Okay, I'll die. I'll give it to you. But before I can even reach over, I'd be gone. Like, I'd be laying here like this. The mask would be right here, and he'd be looking at me and now ready to die too. So I have to take care of me first. Even if it's just 10 minutes, you got to cut that little piece in there for you. You have to do that, and that's what makes it hard. It does. And you say, oh, it's easy for you to say you don't live in my life. No, I don't. But at least you can start thinking about that like, let me think about more about what she said. Let me start talking about that and thinking about it, because it does get very difficult, very difficult.
I wanted to share that. I was feeling kind of like when I was looking at all these questions, like I was starting to feel like maybe that's a little selfish. But 'cause what I was thinking was, well, if I truly admit what I want, I'm kind of like taking away from my family, my home, everything that I've built all the way to this point. Because my motivation, I want to go and work out. I want to get healthy. I want to, those kinds of things. But then I started thinking, well, that's really easy. That's centered around me, and that's not fair to my family, my children. And so I started to think, like, if I admit this on paper and then I'm asked what that's going to look like what does that look like on my part? Like, am I a selfish human being?
Right.
Like, I don't know. There was just some guilt associated with it. So that's where my hesitancy came from.
Oh, I'm going to be talking about that. I'm going to be talking about being full of yourself in just a moment. And we're going to return back to what you just said, because I think that that's imperative that one, you think about that, which tells me that you really do care. You really do want to make a difference. You want to give them everything they can, that you possibly can, while losing yourself. And then where will you be?
At the end of the road, like you said, I don't want to be that person. That really struck a chord to me. I don't want to be that person where my children are depending, or I'm dependent upon my children to take care of me too. And I don't even have like a formal education or any, an associate degree and all of that stuff, because I gave all of myself. I got out of college and everything so I can give to my children and everything. But then now, I'm looking at it like, at what point in time does that part of me lessen, and the other part of me, if there is another part, which she pointed out too, was that, that other part of me is identity of myself. I don't even know what kind of things I'm into and what I like, and in a short season maybe at that time, but it changes too.
That's right.
So I mean, like, for right now, I can only speak for right now. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And let me ask you this. If what you're doing is pouring all of what you have into your children, what are you teaching your children that they should do when they have kids? Pour themselves, and then there's the line. I know that this happens because I gave up dancing when my son was born. I was like, I can't go to the club. I need to be home with my son. And I learned something. The next time I was invited to this little party, and I took him with me, and they said, come on, let's get on the dance floor. And the only thing that could move was from here up, because I could do that in the car. Oh, yeah, but I didn't know what to do with the rest of this because I'm sitting in the car. I lost it. I completely lost from here down. And we do this to ourselves. So I'm glad that it's speaking to you. It's telling you something. Somebody had their hand up back there. Yes.
I guess I can relate to all the moms. I'm kind of on the latter half of,
When my third one was born, I tried to lay all super mom. I tried to do everything. And one day I just kind of woke up and I'm like, I'm done. Because I couldn't give anymore. Because you're just running around trying to give your kids everything, right? Oh, we gotta be in this, and that's one of this. And, I guess for me, it was just a makeup call, and you got it, and especially with 5, because I have another 2 to go, that it just, it's hard to like make yourself important. Yeah. I call it like 15 minutes. I always tell my kids, like 15 minutes. I said, I don't care if I sit in a chair and stare at a wall. It's just a rejuvenation time. It's as my kids have gotten older, that's kind of less and less. But when you're in that, you're small. It is hard when you're in that. It does get better when you get older. You have to make time for yourself. And then eventually, honestly, I think most moms, that's probably too, you kind of lose yourself. You're a mom, right? That's the only way to lose yourself. And being, what you see, like my name's Michelle. I don't even, Michelle doesn't exist anymore. Mom exists. That's the only name that's ever come to mom, what's for dinner tonight? Be scared of the door. I don't know, what is for dinner? You making something? Right. But as they do get older, the things that you did sacrifice to a certain extent starts to at least reflect in your kids. And it just kind of makes you feel like, okay, it wasn't all for nothing. And at least for me, I'm starting to rediscover who each other. Still not 100% there. I would say I'm 70% there. And I don't know if you ever rediscover like that person you had before your kids. Because again, like you said, it's like your family has changed. Like before you had kids, you have 22 years of kids. Like I'm gonna have by the time I'm done, it's like 30 years worth of kids between the first and the last leaving, and you're a totally different person than that. And I feel like I'm a better person than my children have been in my life. Yeah, and why go back? Go forward. For some reason, a lot of men can do it, but you know what us women will say? They're selfish. They don't have time for the kids. Well, some of that is you got to be selfish and take care of self, but also make sure that you're leading the way for your children. So you got to get out of your space. You got to get out of your space, meaning get out of your way. So for me, the things I've done in the community, I guarantee you, if right now my son, if I said, oh, excuse me, y'all, I got to go to the restroom, and I walked out and he walks in, and you all are looking, somebody says, well, who are you? And he says, oh, I'm Charles Lewis. I was looking for my mom, Dr. Lewis. How many of you would go, I know, I heard about you? Because I've already set it up. I've already set something up for him. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. But see, that's what you have to do. Set it up for the next one. If you're staying at home, nobody knows you. They don't know them, nothing. You might not be able to complete this tonight, but this is part of your assignment. To really think about these 4 questions. If you have put them down, the next thing is, what do these 4 questions have in common? What do you think those 4 questions have in common? The answer is on the page. That's a little hint. Your purpose. Those are all about your purpose. So when you start to look at those things in common and you work through it, it is going to illuminate what your purpose is. Because if you see it, what do you care about? Think about what you would do or could do right now. That right there is a reason. The reason is what you care about. That 6 months is for a season, and a lifetime is what motivates you, what drives you. That's going to carry on with you the rest of your life. And at the core of that, where that heart is what is your purpose. So that's going to help you to find your purpose. Now, let me tell you more about what you've got to do for that, because some of the things that I heard from some of you, and I'm glad that you spoke up first. I'm glad that you said that, because it opened it up for others to really speak their truths, because it's hard. It's not easy to say. But why is it such a struggle? Because there's more that haven't said anything, but they're struggling too. Or they say, you know what, I don't care about this. I know what I'm doing. I know what my purpose is. If I were sitting here and somebody was doing this training, any one of you, I'd be writing again. I just turned 58 years old. So I need to figure out what's the next thing. Girl, please don't get me started. But anyway, I have to think, well, what's my purpose now? Because I found myself, when I started watching my mom, I started counting down the years. I was like, oh my goodness, I probably got a good 20-some years left. That's scary. I had to stop thinking about that. And I had to start thinking about what's my next purpose? What else am I going to do? What's my purpose in life now? So don't stop at any cause, any reason. So that's where we're going to use this piece here. This is Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So Maslow, he had this whole piece, like how he built this up. He said that there's certain things that you need to do first. And for some of us, it's hard to think out those 4 questions because we're still dealing with some of this down here. It's hard to think about helping somebody else or doing something else if your basic needs are not met. Your basic needs is food, water, warmth, rest. It's those things. Those are the things that you have to be concerned with first. It's not that you can't help people here, but it is definitely, you got to put your mask on first. The next area is security and safety. So when I say security, make sure that you have, a place to live, that you feel safe, that you have some form of transportation, that your kids are solid in their school. Then you go into belongingness, and that belongingness is, do you care about other people? Do they care about you? And let me tell you, there are people who say, I don't care about nobody. I don't like people. I don't need nobody. Who's going to pay your paycheck? Where are you going to get your groceries from? You got to get it from somebody who put it on the shelf, or who has another business, or who hires you. So we all will need somebody anyway. People who don't have this sense of belonging fall into depression. They have anxiety. They go on shooting sprees. There's a lot of negative things that happen when you don't have this. The next is esteem. This is what you all were talking about, the 4 ladies that I was talking to. And I ask, ladies, and I could be saying that wrong. If ever I say something wrong, if I'm not pronouncing your name correctly or I'm not addressing your proper pronouns, please let me know. I do make mistakes, but I respect everyone. So when you get to the point of esteem, that means that you feel accomplished. You feel accomplished. You did something. Because even though I talk about my son all the time and all the things I did for him, you best believe Regina was in the gym. You best believe that Regina was in school. You best believe that Regina found those 15 minutes. I couldn't do it all at once, but I was doing those pieces. And then there's the self-actualization. This is when you really have achieved your potential and you are able to really make a difference in other people's lives, like in big ways. But I'm here to tell you that you can do it at all levels for all people. All levels for all people. So you're going to be doing another exercise. This particular exercise that you're going to be doing is you're going to be thinking about What can you do with where you actually are? So the first thing I want you to think about is, and this is not something you're going to share, but I want you to look at these areas and see, where are you? Where are you solidly in any one of these areas? Because guess what? I'm here to tell you, it starts over again. It never stays the same. When I got my PhD, because I thought, oh, that's it. Like, that's the highest degree you can get. I did it. And then I woke up and realized that's all I know. That one topic, that little small, little piece. So I had to start all over again. This year, last year I bought a house. First house I've ever bought on my own. It was fantastic. Thank you. But I will tell you this. As soon as I got there, I had to go back here again. Ooh, I need some ramen noodles. I couldn't think about none of that other stuff until I could get solid here again, because now I got a different kind of mortgage. And I got to make sure that if that breaks, I got the money to pay for that. Stuff I didn't know. And I was like, and I was doing this all on my own. So this is scary for me. And by the time that I really got here to esteem needs, it's been a test. Because when I bought my house, you couldn't tell me I didn't have the baddest, biggest house. And then my neighbor invited me over. And my house said, whoop. I was like, but I had to get to a place where I love it. It is mine. I got exactly what I wanted. If I wanted something bigger, better, more amazing, then that's what I should have worked for and said out of my mouth and headed in that direction. But this is what I did, and I was excited yesterday, so I'm going to be excited every day. So we have to appreciate those cracks. When they had that little video, the cracks and the water there. My house means something to me. It may not be big as your house. It doesn't matter. It's my house. It's what I accomplished. It's what I said I wanted. But you better be careful when you say what you want. When I was pregnant, I said, Lord, please don't let me have an ugly baby. I'm sorry. That's what I said. I did, though. I mean, it's terrible. I said, don't let me have an ugly baby, and don't let him be real fat. But when he was born, he was real cute, but he was real tiny, and I had to worry about his nutrition. I forgot the other side to that request. So what I focused on, I forgot to add all the other things. Oh, I want my own house. I want my own house. And Monopoly came along and gave me a little house. You got to think about it. So you're going to do that. So before you do this exercise, because you're going to do it at a table together, and you're going to be using the exercise sheet on page 2. And if you wrote on it, it's okay. It's okay. But I wanted to go back to being full of yourself. I felt like that was too selfish of me. I was sitting at home, and I was pulling out videos for this presentation. And I came across a conversation with Oprah Winfrey. And she was talking about being full of yourself. Are you full of yourself? How many of you have heard of that? You're just full of yourself. Yeah. And it's always been said in a negative way. You're just full of yourself. Well, my thing is, if you're not full, how can you fill anybody else? You got to be full. You got to be so full that you can now give to somebody else. You can do for somebody else. You got to get to that level. Here's how you do it. 1, you have to honor yourself. You have to honor yourself and not see it as a selfish mode. Honor your accomplishments. And your accomplishments might be, I gave birth. I mean, that's an accomplishment. You might say, I got up and went to work today. You know what I mean? Whatever the case is, but you have to honor yourself. right? Then you have to honor that which is greater than yourself. Something bigger than yourself. Your community. And I'm talking outside of just your family right here. Outside of that. What do you honor? Honor this program. So how many of you were around when I was doing the scholarships, the scholarships? Okay, so it was a dream of mine to have a scholarship in me and my son's name, my son and my name. And Parents Challenge helped to make that happen. I had a platform, I had a place for it to happen. And so my honoring something greater than myself was when I said, I'll sit on your board. And that's a volunteer position. I'll go up in the mountains and hang out with your scholars. You know? That's honoring something other than yourself. After you honor yourself, then you have to go to a point of offering yourself to others. This is where volunteering comes in. This is where connecting comes in. Because, yeah, we're spending this time here. And like Deborah had said at the beginning, last year we had an exercise. Remember the red paper clip? Anybody did that? Yeah. But there were several people that didn't do it. And then what did you do with it after that? Oh, I got this. But what did you do? Fell flat. And we had a great time. I mean, we was looking at, oh, yeah, I got this. And I got, yeah. It was fun, but it needed to expand into something else. So we're not here tonight just for me to present. It's for you to do. Because I measure my success by what it is that you do successfully. If you don't do anything, then it's like, well, Regina, you better come up with a better presentation next year. At least I'd be asked. Maybe. So y'all better do something. And then reach your purpose. So that's being full of yourself. That's where you want to go. So what I want you to do is I'm going to give you all, probably about a good 10 minutes. I'm going to tell you which section that I want you to start getting examples for. It might not be where you are on Maslow's hierarchy of needs, but I want you to start creating examples. I'm not going to give you 10 minutes. I'm going to give you 5 minutes because I'm going to have each group point it out what this actually is. So what I want you to do, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different sections. So when I give you a number, your table is going to work together to come up with examples of what could a person do to get involved and connect to meet the needs of others in these areas. What could people like yourselves do for others in any one of these layers? Now you might go, well, I don't remember what they are. Well, it's okay, because if you look on the next page, page 3, it tells you what they are, page 3 and page 4, and right below it, you could write down ways to get involved to connect at this level. So I want, number 1, so you all are going to be looking at that first level, the bottom, at the very bottom. So you're going to be getting examples on how to do that physiological needs, okay? So that would be for others. Like if people go, well, I don't have anything that I can do, you'd say, well, here's all kinds of stuff that you could do. So you all will work on that together, okay? You will be at level 2. So level 2 is right there. So level 2 is safety needs. How can we get involved in volunteer time or whatever to help others at that level? You're at level 3, love and belonging needs. Like how could we volunteer to do that? Work at old folks' homes. You know what I mean? Like that kind of stuff.
Check that box. CNA and a teacher.
There you go. There it is. There it is. Okay, so then you are number 4, esteem needs. How could you all help with that in esteem needs? How you doing?
Good.
Good, good. Okay, you all are at that level of self-actualization. Okay? Okay, here we go. Back to number 1. So you all will be at that physiological need. So this is the area that you'll be working on. You all will be at the safety needs, the level of safety. You all will be at the love and belonging needs. You all are going to be at the esteem level, okay? You all are at self-actualization, okay? You all will be at the physiological, that first level, okay? You all will be at the safety needs, okay?
Safety number 2.
So we're going to give you all 5 minutes to accomplish this, and then we're going to hear out from each one of you. So I'm going to start with all the groups that had the first level, which was physiological needs. So that was this group. So the rest of you, I want you to listen. I just need a spokesperson or whoever to start saying what are some of your ideas for everybody else. And then we're going to go to the next group that has number 1. What other groups have 1? You have 1 and you all have 1. Okay, so let's start right here at this table.
So, Dr. Lewis, in the interest of time,
Yeah.
can we ask you 10 words or less to tell us what you came up with?
Yes, just list it like boom, 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 boom. Okay, right over here. Who's going to say it?
Compassion Kids, advocacy and voting, volunteering, collecting coats, that nature.
I don't think they could hear you back there.
Can you stand up if you're speaking so everybody can hear you, because we're writing these down.
Compassion Kids, collecting coats for people, advocacy and voting, and I think that was it. Oh, Habitat for Humanity. And volunteering time.
Okay, so those are some of the things that you can do. So if you don't have that thought, you could jot it down for yourself. What was the next one right here? What did you all have?
We have parents' night out, volunteer to babysit or swap with kids so that a parent could get work, food drive, working in soup kitchens, feeding and taking care of the homeless and free healthcare drives.
Outstanding. Did you all hear that?
No, because she wasn't standing up.
Whoop, 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 whoop. I love it. Okay, go ahead.
Parents' night out, volunteer to babysit, swap kids, food drive, working in a soup kitchen, feeding and taking care of the homeless, like basic needs and necessities, and then a free healthcare drive.
A healthcare drive. Fantastic. Yes.
If anybody here would like to swap children to have sex,
I know that's. Okay. All right over here. If I can use it for my taxes, I mean, I'm just saying. A couple of things. Okay, go ahead.
So we had same thing like volunteering at Caring Share, Compassion Greenhouse, taking meals to families, like, after pregnancies, things like that. Donating clothing, hand-me-downs, and making sure to be easy to care for someone.
That's right, exactly. This is fantastic. So are you seeing how this is working? So there's always going to be somewhere that you could help. Okay, so let's go to safety needs. So this table right here. Safety needs, what did you have?
We had to start setting boundaries early.
Wait a minute, you got to speak really loud because they're trying to record.
Start setting boundaries early, have early conversations about mental health and sexuality, monitor social activity, establish neighborhood watch, join your creative moms group, and kid power.
All right, thank you. Right over here. Okay, safety. Yep.
So, I guess like on the financial security part, you can like set short, long-term goals and budget. For emotional stability, kind of like just do things for yourself, set that 15 minutes aside for yourself, for your health and well-being. Just make sure you're doing your regular checkups with your doctors and things like that.
Okay, so the things that you all named were things that you could do for yourself. But what I want you to do is think about how you could help others. What could you do? Could you teach them how to make a budget book? You know what I mean? Stuff like that. All right, fantastic. We had one more group that was safety. Yes.
Let's get involved and connect with safety needs. There's Tessa, that's a battered women's shelter. You can babysit like we said in the other. Number 1, mentoring
All right, thank you, thank you. Love and belonging.
Alright, so we had like volunteering at our retirement facility, joining a game or hobby club or league, intentional family nights, no electronics, family dinners, and then visiting like elderly or homebound people.
Yes, thank you. Right over here.
Well, she had family nights.
They're gonna make you.
Oh.
Deborah's gonna make you stand up.
We had, all right. Family nights, and then I'm from Georgia, so, you know, local neighborhood barbecues, get to know people by name. Yeah, yeah.
When's your next barbecue? I'm
What's some hot links, man?
Come on, I gotta find a place to do it. We'll work it out.
Is there any more love and belonging? Okay, we're gonna go to the next one. Esteem needs. Where does esteem start? Esteem?
We talked about the general easy opportunities for like coaching, teaching, tutoring, but in those, or even just in lifestyle, looking at people and finding a way to build their esteem. And so at the end of the day, people feel seen.
Yeah.
And so just looking for those opportunities and acting upon them, being really intentional to find things to esteem people, whether you're coaching or just walking down the street.
That's fantastic. Any other esteem? Was there another esteem group? Yes.
We said setting boundaries, in other words, having mutual respectful friendships and really listening to people and their wants and needs. Treating others with respect as well as expecting respect in return for yourself. Uplifting others, positive speech and encouragement, and just, again, listening.
All right, fantastic. Self-actualization. Yes, all right.
We have mentoring others, teaching a class, and giving back your skills to those in need.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you.
We said most of the same thing,
You got to stand up. Yeah, they clearing their voice.
so mentoring, networking, taking the time to share, and take time for yourself, just encouraging people to take time for themselves. And, there's a, mentorship that is like, big brother, big sister
Yeah.
program. You can do that for if you wanna help somebody that is younger. So most of that was already said.
That's great. You could tutor. You can help other people. That's great. You know, on page 5, it gives you 10 reasons for giving back. So if you're going, I don't know why, this will give that to you. So there's 2 things I want to do before I turn it over. The first one is this. When you get to the top of the mountain, it makes it easier to see the next summit. You're never done. But along the way, you make connections and you volunteer and you give of yourself. So when you get to that next summit, what makes it easier is because you have people that have seen your journey and seen what you have done to give back. And then they will be there for you to get to that next summit. And it continues on that way. So I want you to keep that in mind. The last is you might not have the answer right away, and some of you may. But I'd like for you to stand if you know what, I'm going to volunteer. That's out of the 3 choices, that's something that I'm going to do. You might be still thinking about it. Some of you might say, I know. So if you know that that's what you're going to do, I want you to stand. Yeah, if you're going to volunteer. If you're going to volunteer your time anywhere to do anything. Yeah. Yeah, go ahead. Did you have a question? Okay, great. If you keep standing or raising your hand. If you think that you're thinking about it, then I want you to stand. If you're thinking about it, you're not sure yet, no, continue to stand, but if you're thinking about it, I want you to join those who are standing or raising their hand. So this gives us an idea about who is going to be doing those things, or possibly. All right, have a seat. I want to thank you for yet again having a great opportunity to come and talk to all of you. It's always a pleasure, and it's really exciting. And it's really exciting when I see you in the community and I don't even remember who you are, and then you remind me. Yes, honey. So I'm sure I will see you again. Thank you. Thank you so much.